Track Wrestling with Cindy Kimber, coach of Team Alaska, women's freestyle team. Thanks for joining us. Let's talk about Team Alaska. You were a four-time state champion in Alaska. How did you find wrestling?
My dad was actually my coach. He was coaching the high school, I think since I was 2 years old. So, as soon as I started walking, I was on the wrestling mat and just went up from there.
Do you remember when women's wrestling was implemented in Alaska as a sanctioned sport?
I do, because I went and testified against the ASA board as a 8th grader to try to get them to sanction it, and it was like the best thing that could ever happen as an 8th grader.
What happened there? Take us through that story. It was a legal fight?
No, it was just, money mostly, broke states, but they wanted testimony, and they wanted money, statistics, and what it would bring to the state of Alaska, and how it would grow women's sports, and Title IX was kind of part of it.
Your dad was instrumental in bringing wrestling to Alaska, women's wrestling. What do you remember about those early days of your dad pioneering that effort?
I know it was always hard. He always came home frustrated when girls didn't get what the boys got, especially when we went to the state tournament the first year, and girls, they didn't even keep track of the scores at the tournament, and we got no recognition absolutely from anyone.
Talk about the makeup of this team, where they come from, how they get involved. Take us through the Team Alaska here at the Junior Duels.
So these girls are from all over the state, from literally thousands of miles away, and usually it gets brought up during high school season, and my dad is the USA Wrestling Alaska women's head coach, so he does a lot of recruiting, and so a lot of these girls are, going to be freshmen and sophomores and super young, which, it's good for Team Alaska, but it's a little bit rough this year starting out.
There are a lot of remote places in Alaska. How do you find the sport of wrestling in some of these corners of the state?
It's definitely tricky, and in those kinds of villages, it's still growing. It's branching out, and you'll see more girls at state that are from villages like Shaktoolik and Akiak, places like that, and just slowly their men's coaches are starting to accept that women can wrestle too.
Michaela Hutchison won a state championship against the boys. How much did she do for women's wrestling in the state?
She's kind of the pioneer. She won state, and she was the first girl in the country to do that. And then I think within a few years she'd won Fargo twice, I believe. And so she was just always kind of the leader and the example set for the state.
We're in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Travel is always something that you have to think about coming from Alaska. What was the travel arrangements? How did you get here?
It was a lot of flying, and there was a whole bunch of drama, delayed flights and minors flying alone. It took about 8 hours of flight time total, about 3 flights to get here.
And then did you go direct to where? Of course it wasn't a direct flight to Tulsa, but what were the stops? I stopped in Anchorage to Seattle, Seattle to Dallas, and Dallas to Tulsa. How are things going at McKendree? The coach there, Sam Schmitz, is married to Michaela. How's that going for you?
It's pretty awesome. College is definitely a whole different ballgame than high school, and I'm definitely learning that, but the team is a family, and we're super close with each other and support each other, and I don't think I could have picked a better place to go to school.
These girls liking this experience? Is this fun for them?
Yeah, they're learning. I joked with them at camp that these girls want to, rip your head off and, put it on a stake, and I don't think they believed me till they came down here and they saw that these girls were ready to wrestle.
How do they get their technique? When you're in remote places, you have to have good coaching in those places. Do you feel like there's good coaching in Alaska?
The Team Alaska camps they're definitely probably the best thing you can do as an Alaskan to train. There's 2 10-day camps in the summer, one before this and one before Fargo, and it's intensive all day wrestling, 4 hours a day, and conditioning 2 hours a day, and that's how a lot of these kids get their exposure to freestyle. Most of them have never even heard of it before camps.
Team Alaska, thanks Sydney.